above it. He grasped two redoubtable spears that suited his hands, but he did not take the spear of noble Achilles, so stout and strong, for none other than the Achaeans could wield it, though Achilles could do so easily. This was the ashen spear from Mount Pelion, which Chiron had cut up upon a mountain top and had given it to Peleus, wherewith to deal out death among heroes. He bade Automedon yoke his horses with all speed, for he was the man whom he held in honor next after Achilles, and on whose support in battle he could rely most firmly. Automedon therefore he yoked the fleet horses Xanthus and Balius, steeds that could fly like the wind. These were they whom the happy Harpy Jogard bore to the west wind as she was grazing in a meadow by the waters of the river Oceanus. In the side traces he set the noble horse Pedasus, whom Achilles had brought away with him when he sacked the city of Eetion, and who, mortal steed though he was, could take his place along with those that were immortal. Meanwhile, Achilles once advanced everywhere among the tents and bade less Myrmidons put on their armor, even as fierce ravening wolves that are feasting upon a horned stag, which they had killed upon the mountains, and their jaws are red with blood. They go in a pack to lap water from the clear spring with their long thin tongues, and they reek of blood and slaughter. They know not what fear is, for it is hunger drives them. Even so did the leader and the counselors of the Myrmidons gather round the good squire of the fleet descendants of Aeacus, and among them stood Achilles himself, cheering on both men and horses. 50 ships had noble Achilles brought to Troy, and each of there was a crew of 50 oarsmen. Over these he set 5 captains whom he could trust, while he was himself commander over them all. Menesiphus of the gleaming corslet, son to the river Spercheius, that streams from heaven, was captain of the first company. Fair Polydora, daughter of Peleus, bore him to ever-flowing Spercheius. A woman made him of a god, but he was called son of Boreas, son of Pereus, with whom his mother was living as his wedded wife, and who gave great wealth to gain her. The second company was led by noble Theodorus, son to an unwedded woman, Polymele, daughter of Phylas, and the graceful dancer bore him the mighty slayer of Argos, and was enamored of her as he saw her among the singing women at dance held in honor of Artemis, the rushing huntress of the golden arrows. He therefore Hermes, giver of all good, went with her into an upper chamber and lay with her in secret, whereon she bore him a noble son Eudorus, singularly fleet of foot and fight valiant. When Ilithyia, goddess of pains of childbirth, brought him to the light of day, and he saw the face of the sun, mighty Eucocles, son of Actor, took the mother to wife and gave great wealth to gain her. But her father Phyllis brought the child up and took care of him, doting fondly upon him as though he were his own son. The third company was led by Cassander, son of Maemalus, the finest spearman among all the Myrmidons, next to Achilles' own comrade Patroclus. The old knight Phoenix was captain of the 4th company, and Alcimedon, noble son of Laerpus of the 5th. When Achilles had chosen his men and stationed them all with their captains, he charged them straightly, saying, Myrmidons, remember your threats against the Trojans while you were at the ships in the time of anger, and you were all complaining of me, cruel son of Peleus. You would say your mother must have suckled you all gall, so ruthless are you. You keep us here at the ships against our will. If you are so relentless, it were better we went home over the sea. Often have you gathered thus chided with me. The hour is now come for those high feats of arms that you have so long been pinning for. Therefore keep high hearts, each one of you do battle with the Trojans. With these words he put heart and soul into them, and they serried their companies yet more closely when they heard the words of their king, as the stones which a builder sets in the wall of some high house, which is to give shelter from the winds, even so closely were the helmets and bossed shields set against one another. Shield pressed on shield, helm on helm, and man on man, so close were they that the horsehair plumes of the gleaming ridges of their helmets touched each other as they bent their heads. In front of them all 2 men put on their armor, Patroclus and Automedon, 2 men who was but one mind to lead the Myrmidons. Then Achilles went inside his tent and opened the lid of the strong chest, which silver-footed Thetis had given him to take on board ship, in which he had filled with shirts, cloaks to keep out of the cold, and good thick rugs. In this chest he made a cup of rare workmanship, from which no man but himself might drink, nor would he make offering from it to any other god, save only to Father Zeus. He took the cup from the chest and cleansed it with sulphur. This done, he rinsed it in clean water, and after he had washed his hands, he drew wine. Then he stood in the middle of the court and prayed, looking towards heaven, and making his drink offering of wine, nor was he unseen of Zeus, who was joy in his thunder. King Zeus, he cried, Lord of Dodona, look God of the Palisagi, who dwellest afar, you are who hold wintry Dodona in your sway, for your prophets of the Selali dwell around you with their feet unwashed and their couches made upon the ground. If you heard me when I prayed to you aforetime, and did me honor while you sent disaster on the Phaeacians, vouchsafe me now the fulfillment of yet this further prayer. I shall stay here where my ships are lying, but I shall send my comrade into battle at the head of my Myrmidons. Grant, O all-seeing Zeus, that victory may go with him. Put your courage into his heart, that Hector may learn whether my squire is man enough to fight alone, or whether his might is only then so indomitable. When I myself enter the turmoil of war, afterwards when he had chased the fight and cry of battle from the ships, grant that he may return unharmed with his armor and his comrades, fighters in close combat. Thus did he pray, and all counseling Zeus heard his prayer, heart of it indeed, vouchsafed to him. But not to the whole, he granted that Patroclus should thrust back war and battle from the ships, but refused to let him come safely out of the fight. When he had made his drink offering and had thus prayed, Achilles went inside his tent and put back the cup into his chest. Then again he came out, for he still loved to look upon the fierce fight that raged between the Trojans and the Phaeacians. Meanwhile, the armed band that was about Patroclus marched on until they sprang high in hope upon the Trojans. They came swarming out like wasps, whose nests are by roadside, and whom silly children love to tease, whereon anyone who happens to be passing may get stung, or again, if a wayfarer going along the road vexes them by accident, every wasp will come flying out in a fury to defend his little ones. Even with such rage and courage did the Myrmidons swarm from the ships, and their cry of battle rose heavenwards. Patroclus called on out to his men at the top of his voice, Myrmidons, followers of Achilles, son of Peleus, be men, my friends, fight with might and with main, that we may win glory for the son of Peleus, who is far the foremost man at the ships of the Argives. He and his close fighting followers the son of Atreus, King Agamemnon, will thus learn his folly, and showing in no respect the braves of the Phrygians. With these words he put heart and soul into them, and they fell in a body upon the Trojans. The ships rang again, and cried with the Phrygians raised, and with the Trojans saw the brave son of Meneuetus and his squire all gleaming in their armor. They were daunted, and their battalions were thrown into confusion, for they thought the fleet son of Peleus must now have put aside his anger, and have been reconciled to Agamemnon.